Hi everyone, Rachel Stevens here, and we are going to go ahead and we are going to do the French postcard tutorial that I promised you guys. Now I wanted to just really quickly show you where I want to take this. So this is the image that I shot at Creative Live, and I played around with it yesterday and did a teaser of it on my fan page at Facebook.com/Rachel Stevens Photography for Women. So if you're not a fan of my fan page, please come over and like us. So this is where we took it. So and this is where I took it last night. So I just actually did it just to make sure that I could remember how to do it, because I don't get the opportunity to play around with treatments too much anymore. But I do absolutely love doing it. So here is the image that we worked. So what we're going to do to start is visually, when I'm thinking about this kind of vintage treatment, I want to think to what era. So the vintage postcards, if you Google vintage postcard, vintage French postcard, you'll see a lot of images come up that kind of look like this kind of styling, and they look very kind of sepia toned. And I really like the tintype look, the tintype processing back in the day, which I think was like the late 1800s to about 1925 or 1928. So for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to recreate the tintype look. For that, I really don't mind this in the shot here. I really actually kind of like the edging of the canvas in the shot here. So I'm going to leave that in. And I'm going to go ahead and just to start it off, I'm going to go to my hue saturation, and I'm going to bring down my saturation quite a bit. Let's go about to there. And let's just find, let's see, kind of like let's make it about there. So lightness, -3, saturation, -64, and let's play around with the hues again. I'm going to go to about -10. That's where I like that. Okay, so I like the saturation there. Now I'm going to go to another adjustment layer, and I'm going to just go to my color balance. And in the midtones, I'm going to bring the yellows out just a bit. So I'm going to go about -20 on the yellows. And then on my shadows, I'm going to kind of bring the reds up to about maybe 9 or 10. And then on my highlights, I'm going to kind of pop my cyan a little bit. Let's pop the yellows too. And so we're bringing them down. So even though I'm saying pop, in this aspect, bringing them down into the negatives is actually popping that color, because we're going towards the yellow. And you want to make sure that you have your preserved luminosity on. So I'm just going to check my opacity here. Always check your opacity. Yeah, let's go about here. Okay, so now I'm going to create a duplicate layer here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a vignette. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to first blur the image, probably to about there, and I'm going to go on a multiply. Let's bring it down to where I like it. Maybe about there. And then I'm just going to make a mask, and let's get a regular brush here. Soft round brush. And I'm just going to start to paint away where I don't want the vignette to affect the image. So the tintype processing did have a lot of vignettes. That's nice. I'm just going to flatten that down and make a duplicate layer. And I'm going to go ahead and make this I'm going to convert this to a smart object, just so when I start working my filters, if something is not enough or a little too much, I can fix it. So you want to make sure when you're working, especially if you're working with my actions, that when you're working with filters, you want to make sure that your mode is on 8 bits. If you're in 16 bits per channel, you are not going to be able to access all of the filters that are available in Photoshop. So if you bought my actions, then you get an error message that, let's say, diffuse glow is not available or sharpen's not available. It's probably because you are in 16-bit here. So you want to make sure you're in 8-bit. And I keep mine at RGB. Color space. Okay, so just real quick, since I'm referencing the actions and everything, I'm just going to show you really quickly what we're working with. So store.rachelstevensphotography.com, the whole shebang, that's my action set. That's what we that's everything I use, my toolkit. So as far as actions go, it's like a vehicle to get you where you want to go faster. So hashtag get in the car, use actions, get it done. The only people that care about whether or not you use actions are other photographers. The only people that care about whether or not how much you get in camera are other photographers. Clients don't care how you get there. They just want pretty pictures. They just care that you get there. So make your life easier. Use actions. Mine are awesome. They're only $75 for over 160 of them. Use discount code CREATIVELIVE, creative lowercase, live uppercase, get 15 bucks off. And we're going to be working with the SLR Lounge Photoshop Paper Texture Collection. If you bought my class, then you'll get a list of discounts. These guys were generous enough to give a discount. I highly recommend getting this one where it has textures and the video tutorials. It's only 10 bucks more. I definitely recommend getting that. I had my own textures, can't touch them. They're amazing. And then here's my boudoir photography class on Creative Live, creativelive.com, courses, boudoir photography, Rachel Stevens. It's now $149, the discount's gone, 20 hours of class plus a ton of extra bonus materials, including 4 hours of me retouching longhand and half an hour of Sean retouching, teaching how to do Facebook ads. And as far as why I didn't take the French postcard as far as I wanted to on Creative Live was because of legality issues. I couldn't use any images that I didn't myself own. So when I'm using assets to do any kind of treatments or digital illustration in Photoshop, I always like to go to Dreamstime. And I just typed in vintage French postcard, and then this kind of stuff comes up, where you can see, it has all this really cool French postcardy type stuff that I know that I can use, I can lay over and use as an asset for where I want to take this art piece. Okay, so let's get back to Photoshop. So I'm now going to start working on my tin type look. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit, let's do a surface blur and see how that looks. Let's go 5 and 10. And let's go ahead and do a motion blur. And that looks good. Let's see. Kind of want more going on there. Kind of like my blurs to be a little more aggressive. Let's see. Let's do there. Okay, let's play around a little bit with one more thing. I do like my shape blur. Let's see what this does. So I'm just going to apparently dab, and it's not going to do anything. Oh, there we go. Let's go about right here. Okay, now it's rendering. It's taking its sweet time. Which probably means that I went too far. Yep, it means I went too far. So that's what's great about smart filters, is now I'm like, oh, well, you know, look what I just did. So I double click on that guy. It's just gonna pop that back open, and I can dial this back. Let's put it at 15 pixels. And I don't have to, you know, go through where, oh, that looks real nice. It's like butter. Let's go ahead and throw some noise over that. Whenever I blur, I like to throw a little noise over. Let's throw a little noise over that. Okay, so we're going to make a mask, and I'm just going to kind of paint away in her face and right about down here, a little bit back here, and maybe just a teensy bit over here. Kind of like the blur in her hair. Let's see where that is. Maybe just a little less. There we go. And I'm loving everything else. Okay, so I love the way that looks. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we are going to place, let me just go ahead and use my action on this one. So I have, whenever I do layovers or overlays, I have my little overlay helpers here in my actions. So let's go ahead and let's run this. So it gives you a little stop action, which tells you what to do. So browse to your overlays folder, select a file, resize over your image, and hit enter. So it's going to open up a browser so that I can pick the image I want. So for what I want to do, I'm going to go to my desktop where my folders are living. I'm going to go to SLR Lounge, and that's where we went on the website just a few minutes ago. And I got my paper textures. And for these, I want to get my grunge on. So they always start on the conservative side, and then they get more and more heavy towards the end. And I know that I'm going to want a heavier overlay. So I'm just going to go right to the end here. And for the image I want to do, I know that I kind of want something kind of orangey and really creased because we want it to look old. Kind of like that one. Let's see. Kind of loving that one. So I'm going to place this guy, and what it's going to do, it's going to open it up in Camera Raw for me. And so I can kind of play around with the colors. I kind of want to make this one just a little bit more orange, kind of to go with that whole sepia look. So it's going to place it, and then I'm just going to hold my Option key down. I'm just going to pull it over, push continue, and then the action is going to have a black mask. So if you want that to be a white mask, all you have to do is hold your Command or your Option key, your Command key, and delete, and then that'll make it white. Nice. So obviously when we're making a vintage piece, you can see now where the texture is laying over. Let's go ahead and overlay it. You can see where the texture is now laying over all of the skin. And obviously if you have a photo that's really, really old, the skin's not going to be masked out. But we don't want it to be this crazy. Let me see. Let me just kind of go through these real quick. See if I kind of like the hard light. I kind of dig. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get a grungy brush. And you can get grungy brushes, just look for them on the web. I am going to grab, let's see here. I'm going to grab let's do, I think I have an actual brush called Grunge. Standby. Nope. Let's do the dirt brush. So I'm going to put that on about 40%, and I'm going to put my flow down to about 40%, 45%, and I'm just going to start kind of painting away over the skin a bit. Just a little bit so it still looks good. Still looks vintage and aged, but it's not as distracting over the skin and stuff. Just going to kind of go over here a little bit too. That's nice. Okay. So there are a few little areas here that I'm going to want to fix. I'm going to go ahead and flatten this. Let's go ahead and, well, let me try to, I'm going to try to keep these open so you guys can see our process. Try to do it in layers as opposed to the history palette this time, just for fun. So I still do want this to be a little bit more black and white. So I'm going to grab a gradient map, and I'm going to grab the black and white gradient map, and let's just kind of toggle through our blending modes. I'm going to hit color. Oh yeah, that's nice. And then I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this, and I'm going to put this on luminosity. So give it that nice digital hug. In my actions, that is called the Give Me Depth. And then I'm going to go ahead up here and I'm going to pop some brightness and contrast in this image. There we go. So I am like super duper loving this. Like totally super duper loving it. So I'm going to go ahead and place some artifacts on here that give us that French postcard look. So I'm going to open up some French postcard assets that I purchased off of Dreamtime. And I'm going to put, I love this. Let's do this here. And let's play with our blending modes. Let me come up here with it. There we go. I'm kind of just playing around here, the different blending modes. And of course my phone is ringing because this is like 1994 and I do have a landline. So let's just ignore that. Okay, so I'm liking that, but I'm going to adjust. Let's go ahead and see. Okay, so that's not working, doing what I want it to do. So I'm going to make a hue saturation here, and I'm just going to make a clipping path so it only affects this one little area. And then I'm just going to bring the saturation down just so it kind of fits the rest of the image. There we go. So now I'm going to make a layer here, and I'm going to invert it. And I'm just going to kind of bring in the area that I want. So I liked where it says France. I like that part there. where it says carte postale. And let's get our transform tool here and make it a little bigger. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do another asset from the postcard look. And let's make, I really like all the French. So let's play around with some of the, obviously the picture wouldn't be on the front, but I really do like the text. So let's play around with some text here. Let's go about there. And let me go above this clipping path with that one. And let's go play around with our blending modes here. So I'm enjoying, let's see. And again, it's all about preference, where you want. I really like some of this right down here. Okay, so I'm going to hold the Option key down. I'm going to make a mask, and I'm just going to start to kind of tap in where I want some of that to show. And of course we have this here, so I don't need that again. So I'm going to make sure this part is not showing. I'm just going to paint that away. But I definitely want some of the wording to show. Don't necessarily need the edging to show. And just tap, 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 tap. Okay, so I'm going to, so you can see it's super subtle. That's good, we want that. So I'm just going to make another one real quick with this one. My first asset, which I'm going to sneeze. I'm going to move this around. Real-time retouching, people. Real time. All right. And let's see here. Let's go maybe there. And let me, again, let's get another adjustment layer. And do a clipping path for that. And let's bring it down. So I want this area to kind of match the surroundings. And bring it down, bring it down. All right, that looks nice. Okay, so here we're going to make a mask. And we're going to make sure this is, yep, that is clipped there. I'm going to get a white brush. And then we're just going to kind of dab around in here. Perfect. And I think I even want a little bit more going on right here at this area. So I'm going to place it again. This bad boy. I think just some French writing, maybe this would be good. Let's put it under here again. All right. So to keep everything uniform, I'm just going to have to keep doing clipping paths on each one, so you guys can learn about layers and clipping paths. Okay, so we're going to do another hue saturation here. Bring it down, about there, and going to make a mask, and let's just start to bring that post. There we go. All right, so I'm going to have there we go, perfect. Okay, so I am really happy with how this is looking. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to flatten this down. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And I'm going to run an action on here really quickly that I totally love. Let's see. Let's go to my Urban Glow, and then let's grab a soft brush, and let's just really quickly just kind of paint over where we want some glow. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Absolutely beautiful. I'm going to flatten that down and save it. And now I'm going to run one last thing, and it's my very favorite, most awesome, best ever skin clean action. And I'm just going to go over the texture of the skin really quickly and just kind of smooth some stuff out just to give her skin a cleaner look. Even though we do want the image to look aged, we don't want to completely sacrifice the model's skin. I'm just going to kind of go down, do a little in here. I'm liking that. I like that. Okay. And then just kind of check here. And then I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to duplicate the layer, go in with a nice small brush, black. And I'm just going to highlight this beauty mark. Beautiful. And then just the one last thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to right here address this little part of the thigh where the corset is pinching. Actually, I'm going to do this with another way. I'll do this with a lasso. Let's see. Just a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, that looks just a little more normal to me. Okay, so we're going to go from the stages here. So that's where we started. And as we go on, here we go. That's where we ended up. So start to finish, that is a French postcard. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time for our next tutorial. See you online. Have a good one.